Hi, welcome to Season 3, Episode 7 of the Weekly Wave. I'm Matthew Lyons.
And I'm Aaron Johnson.
And our very special guest here today is Assistant Superintendent Dr. Felicia Moschella. How are you?
Great. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming down.
Yeah, I think you are the second doctor.
Yes.
So that is a big
Second doctor.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy telling people no, it's Dr. Moschella?
I do not. I forget actually a lot of times, and people
What?
say, "You worked so hard for that. Come on." And I think when it's such a change. It was a year and a half ago that I finished my PhD, so I'm still kind of not used to it.
I see. I would be wearing a hat that says I'm a doctor, stay back 10 feet.
Yeah, no,
But,
stay back 6 feet, not right now,
Oh,
but
right,
it has
right.
nothing to do with being a doctor.
So you've been a huge part of Abington Public Schools for 15 years now. So when did you decide that you wanted to go this route in your career?
So I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. I went to college to be a teacher. I taught for 8 years, and in Arizona, actually. I'm from Massachusetts, but moved out to Arizona, taught there for 8 years, and then moved back and decided I wanted to be an administrator. And I got my master's degree in educational leadership and became a school administrator. I was an assistant principal and then a principal, and then became the assistant superintendent.
Wow. Congratulations on your title change
Oh,
that happened
thank you.
the other week.
Thank
Long
you.
overdue.
Anything new come with that promotion? Any new office?
No office, no money, nope, just a couple words lopped off the title. So when there were two assistant superintendents, one was in charge of student services, and then I was in charge of business and finance. And then when that assistant superintendent left, the jobs were reorganized, and Dr. Robbins came in as the director of student services, and then there was one assistant superintendent. So I took over some of the responsibilities of the other assistant superintendent, and so now there's just one of me, and so it made sense.
Yeah.
So you were instrumental in the process of this school being built, right?
I would say I was very involved in it, and there were a lot of people that were very involved. I was kind of one of the daily people that was involved. Obviously, Superintendent Schaefer was also very involved in the community outreach part. But in terms of the weekly meetings that we had a building committee that met monthly and made design decisions and color decisions and equipment and furniture decisions. But in terms of the weekly meetings that we would have during construction, I attended those and learned a lot about construction. So.
And you're on a lot of committees.
Yeah.
It comes with the job. Most recently, up until most recently, I was really kind of the operation side of the house. So I oversaw, and I still do oversee transportation, maintenance, custodial, and then the whole business part. So all the budgets and grants and money, and now it's a little bit expanded a bit since the other assistant superintendent left. So, but yeah, part of the job is definitely working with constituents, really, working with community members, town, government people, parents, school committee. So.
What would you say is the hardest project you've ever worked on? Is it this school?
This was a lot. Where I'm an educator, and I learned a lot about construction in general. But we had an amazing project manager who also, who really was the person who kept the job on task. But learning just the day-to-day how a large, $96 million construction project and how the different people and parts work together was really, you can't put up walls till you have a floor. You can't put up a roof till you have walls. And really seeing how all the different trades worked together. And then, you think the building gets built, and this is our 4th year in the building, and you think that it's done. But we're still working through some lingering problems that we had, and not big problems, but there were cracks on the tennis courts prematurely. So we're still working with the contractor to make sure those are correct. There's a problem with one of the playing fields, so we're still working with the contractor to make sure that the product that we expected to get, we got.
So, I mean, you just mentioned, like, all these different things that you've been working on, and watching the school committee meetings, when you speak, you have such a in-depth knowledge of what you're talking about. Like when you were talking about the new rapid test that the schools will administer, it must be rewarding and exhausting to kind of have to, factor in all these different things.
I've learned so much, and I think to be a lifelong learner is really what education is about. It's teaching people and providing people with the desire to continue to want to learn. And you're right. If you had told me a year ago that I'd be talking about Bionex now rapid antigen testing for COVID-19, I would have said, what are you even talking about? But it's also something that I really enjoy. And to learn all these things and be able to explain them in ways that people can understand and that can help our community.
Yeah.
So.
Off of what Matt just said, I've filmed a lot of those school committee meetings, and you seem like one of the most dedicated people I've ever met. Honestly, like hand to God, I swear. How do you get that dedication? Like, what drives you?
I love the work. I love working in Abington, and I know, and this is the absolute truth, the people that I work with, I'm so lucky to work with the people I work with. There's not one person that doesn't have that same dedication. And we're all here for the same reason, and that's to provide, the best education opportunity we can for the children of Abington, and people work really hard to make that happen. And, in the last couple of years, I've been able to report out and kind of oversee things that are really important, the aspects that are really important. But there's a lot of other things that are going on in the district as well that aren't as, the building is something that this community rallied around. COVID-19 is something that people wanted information about, and that's the information, that I've been able to provide.
Great answer. Great answer.
That was a great answer. So, I mean, we've been talking about all these things you do. So what's a day in your work life look like? Is it just nonstop, go, 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 go? Are you constantly being handed new things to do, or be in charge of? What does that look like?
So I would say all of our jobs are very different, COVID and pre-COVID and COVID. Mm-hmm. For a number of years, a lot of my time was around the building project. And then we came into COVID. And the parts of the district that I directly oversee, food service, transportation, maintenance, custodial, and then the budget, really do take much of the day, whether it's in meetings or collaborating with the people in our office around payroll, expenses, the things that we buy, and making sure our bills are paid. So again, we're very lucky to have a dedicated staff that have worked in Abington for a while and are able to say, you know what, Felicia, you've been out, doing, helping, order Bionex Now rapid tests. Can we talk about payroll? And so then I have those meetings and go over those things. So it's, with COVID, there's been so many expenses that we never had anticipated or have never had to worry about, that it is important that myself and I'll say Lynette McNeil and Sarah Gainey in my office are keeping an eye on where we are and what we're purchasing and making sure we have everything that we need.
Awesome.
And for my final question, I just want to ask you, with this new promotion, are there any projects on the horizon or anything you're looking forward to in the next upcoming years?
Thank you for calling it a promotion. I think it's a job title change, and as Mr. Schaefer talked about, encompasses some of the responsibilities that I've taken over the last couple of years. The main thing is for all of us is to get to a place that we can bring our students back into our buildings full time, and that's all of our goals. And to do that safely, and whether with appropriate distancing, and whatever that's going to take. And that is something that we're all thinking about all of the time. We're hoping that for the first time, in a year, now that we're talking about vaccine rollouts and when that's going to happen, it does provide a glimmer of hope on the horizon that we'll get back to kind of our old normal.
Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us. It's fascinating to kind of think about what it would be like to be in your shoes with all these different things going on. And thank you for all of the work that you do for
Thank
Abington.
You. And you also know that I'm a huge fan of the work that you all do and the information that you provide to the community and the shows that not just you in front of the camera, but those of you behind the camera. So thank you and keep up the good work.
Thanks for watching. Tune in next week for a brand new episode of The Weekly Wave.
And make sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at the Green Wave Gazette and the Weekly Wave.
Stay safe.
Goodbye, everybody.
He stays on the later side. But then you have all the meetings.
Right.
That's true.
So there's typical days and then there's